Hello and welcome to the New World Rum Club. This is Rum Islands and today I'll be talking about the island of rum that is the UK. This came about by someone contacting me on Twitter asking me what I would do if I was looking to stock a back bar with British products. Now I thought that was really quite interesting. I haven't really explored the UK market too much, so I thought let's give it a go. So when I thought about a British back bar, I thought about the independent bottlers, I thought about the blenders, and then I thought about the distilleries, and I thought actually the combination of those three you can probably get a really good British back bar. The challenge I got faced with next made it a bit more difficult. The ask was the back bar has to be distilled in the UK. Now this obviously led to some very big questions around why would you do that? There is a world of rum, there are different types, processes, absolutely everything and varieties. Why would you restrict yourself to one island, which is the UK? Now, especially when really what we're looking for is flavour. And UK rum, is it any good? Can it compete with the rest of the world? Now, most of us would go, hold on a sec, you know, you've got the Caribbean, you've got South America, you've got Central America, you've got the islands all around the world. Are we really in a position to compete with them? The next one is about sustainability. You know, if you want to go British, then surely to make British rum you have to import your molasses or your raw ingredients from somewhere, probably Latin America or the Caribbean. And what does that mean? So if you're going to import the molasses, why don't you import the liquid? I do believe there's a lot more you can do once it's in country around sustainability, but again, a big question to ask yourself. The final one I wanted to look at was the economy. Now I do like to buy British, I do like to put my money back into the UK, but at the same time, I am looking for something that has flavour, that is sustainable at the same time. So, you know, we do ask ourselves, is this more important than flavour? And these are some of the areas that I was thinking about when I was going through this journey. So what I'd like to look at next is the distilleries in the UK. Now there are more distilleries than I'm going to show, and please feel free to add into the comments if there's any that I missed, but I have focused only on the distilleries that are making white rum or aged rum, which don't have all the flavours. I haven't looked at spice rum, so you know there are a lot more out there, but I've focused on that area in itself. So I found 17 distilleries that we're going to touch on today, and they range from top of the country in the Orkney Islands in Scotland all the way down to Cornwall. And I have split out Cornwall as a separate area only for the reason that there was quite a lot in England, so I thought I'd look at those two separately. So now let's take a look at what Scotland has to offer. So I found 5. You've got Ninefold in Dumfries and Galloway, we've got Sugar House which is on the river in Glasgow, Matuga and Seawolf, but the one I really wanted to highlight was J Gow. This is on a tiny island in the middle of the Orkneys, and something that if you look at their story or look at their website, there's something very interesting about that. And you know, they call it the Pirate Island, it's rum, I quite like that story. So let's have a look at the rums that are coming out. The first two I wanted to highlight to are the two white aged rums, unaged rums, which are the Ninefold and the Sugar House. Now, I did buy both. I was very intrigued. I was on a few tasting sessions with the distillery, with the guys who made this rum, and I thought I'd give it a go. Now, I didn't really know what to expect from a white rum from the UK priced between £30 and £40, but I tell you what, I was sipping these, I was more than happy with sipping them. I didn't add ice. Now this is something that I will be going back to, and I will be experimenting with some pretty nice cocktails as well. I can only imagine Seawolf is similar, but there was only so many bottles that I could buy. Now if I have a look at the other two, J Gow. Now this is the oldest one that I found in the UK, aged at 3 years, and it's matured in whiskey barrels. So I think that'll have a really nice peaty taste to it, and it does come at a high ABV of 53.2%. So for me, this is something that's really quite interesting. They also do another one which is 1 year old. Again, I'll be looking to get my hands on those at some point over the course of the year. What I have done with all of these is where the Fat Rum Pirate has reviewed them, I would say go and have a look. He does excellent reviews. He tells you a lot more detail about the distilleries, the spirits, and it was one of my go-to places when trying to understand a bit more about these rums and the distilleries. The last one I want to go over is Matuga. Now this is a bit different. I do believe there's a little bit of dosage in there, so you know I had to question whether I was going to put it in or not. But the molasses are sourced from Uganda and then distilled in Scotland. I think it was originally Cambridge, but it was moved up to Scotland. But for me, you know, I spent some time in Africa. I really like the flavours that came from there, and this is something that I thought would be really quite interesting. So again, something I'm going to look into. So that is Scotland. All of them are pot stills. Most of them around the 40 to 43%, with the exception of the J. Gow. And please do take a look at the Fat Rum Pirate's reviews to see what he thought of them. So now we move to England, and as I said, you know, we do have Cornwall as part of England. I've just done it separately. And the first one to point out is the one in my local town of Bristol, which is Circumstance Distillery. So that's one that naturally I will have on my shelf. Being local, you can't ignore it. I did have a look at twoDrifters in Exeter, and if you have a look at their website and what they stand for, they are a carbon negative company. Now to do that, there's a lot you have to do in the distillery and everything around it as well, whether it's from your packaging to your couriers to what you do with CO2 to compensate for the glass. Have a look. You know, that is something that I did actually spend a bit too much time looking into. There's a webinar on it, but I was really impressed with what I saw. Scratch and Hertz, ripping yarns. So they only have a spiced rum at the minute, but I was told that they are waiting on bottles from Europe because they do have a rum coming out as soon as those bottles land, so I thought it'd be nice to include them. Greensands Ridge in Kent. Bimber, if anyone knows, this is mainly known for its whisky. It does small batch whiskies and they seem to be getting snapped up. I really do quite like this. You know, they do 3-4 year old whiskies and I think they're top notch. We have the oldest rum distillery, English Spirits in Essex, and the Unconventional Distillery up in Lincoln, which is a bit of a controversial distillery because they are trying to age rums in days rather than in years. But again, something different, I thought I'd highlight it. So these are the English bottles, non-Cornwall English bottles, and the one I first want to point to is the Greensands. Greensands Ridge. It's called a Wilden rum. It's a single pot rum, 40%, and it comes at 50 centilitres. So at £40, I'm expecting this one to be a bit more of a premium rum than say some of the others. The Old Salt rum. So this is the oldest distillery. They've put another distillery in Cornwall, which we'll talk about in the next one. Scratch, when I looked into it, again, you know, 2 to 3 year old blends. They're only doing small batches, so when they release they sell out quite quickly, and they also do some other rums as well. This is the twoDrifters rum, so this is a dark rum. This is one I've tried, and it is something that I'm looking for a nice cocktail to go with. They also do a white rum, but there is some sweetening going on from what I saw on the website. And finally we have Bimber. And Bimber being at £22 when the others are £40 to £50, this feels like a really good value for money rum. I did try this one as well actually, but in a small sample, and I was impressed. You know, it isn't as mature as some of the other rums, especially the Scottish rums, but it comes at a cheaper price point as well. The last two. So Circumstantial Cane is done at Psycho Pump in Bristol. They do a lot of gin, that's what they're known for, and they experimented with some rum. It's oak spindles to try and age or put that woody flavour in there in a shorter time period, and it's at 45%. So something that I found out as part of this this vlog, and one I'll be looking to try when the bars open up again in Bristol. The last one is this Time Machine. It's classed as barrel aged rum, but from what I understand, it is aged for 6 days and it is meant to represent 8 years. Now for me that doesn't sound right. It's going to create a lot of controversy. You know, I really think time is an important factor in aging and flavour, but it is something different. You know, rum is getting more experimental, and for that, you know, it's on there because they're doing something. Is this any good? I don't know. I will try, but I did want to put it in there as a controversial rum that is being distilled in the UK. Next we have Cornwall, and there were 4 distilleries. The first one here is English Spirit, which were up in Essex, have also created a distillery in Cornwall as well, and that's for their White St Piran rum. We have Bude for Rosemullion, Tintagel for the Wrecking Coast, and the Cornish Distilling Company in Bude as well. So the first thing I want to point to you is the look of the Rosemullion bottle. I really want to see one in person because it looks really pretty. Right? This is one that I would give as a present for someone, but again, we want flavour as well, so you know, it's one that I do need to try. The others, you know, the curveball here is the Wrecking Coast. It was highlighted as Muscovado, so not officially a rum, but I thought it was close enough to be able to include it. You know, these 2 are pot aged, they're all around £35 with the exception of this, and this is actually 50 centilitres, so you get a bit less. I haven't tried these, I haven't seen any reviews on them. I am hoping to go down to Cornwall this year, in which case I'll pop in and try one of these rums, but I wanted to at least surface them from what I was looking at. Finally we have Wales, and if anyone knows Wales and whisky, it's the Penderyn Distillery in the Brecons. Lovely distillery, it's all clad in wood, you can go and do your tours there, but they are known for their whiskies. There's also the Brecon Gin. So when I stumbled across this rum, I was very surprised. There wasn't a lot of detail behind it, and it has been reviewed by the Fat Rum Pirate, so if you are looking at buying it, it's definitely worth looking at the review. But I'm afraid I can't tell you anything more than that, other than it exists, and they do white and brown. So we have a British back bar, and there is quite a selection. Again, I haven't picked any flavoured rums, any sugared rums, or any spiced rums. So in essence, you could have a lot more of a selection. I've just focused on the ones that were of interest to myself. And really, what I see is that, you know, we go back to those questions of why would you do this? So there are good quality rums in the UK. That is the first thing I found out. You know, age is not the defining factor, it's flavour. So, you know, 3 years can pack a lot of punch. We've seen it in whisky, we're seeing it in rum, and there's some good examples of that here. But then it comes down to the fact of going, what would I actually pick then? If it was my bar, what would be the selection? And again, I haven't tried all of these, so I'm going by what I've read about the distilleries, some of the reviews, what I liked, what I didn't like, and this is really what I ended up choosing. In my bar, I would have British bottlers, I would have British blenders, and I would have British distilleries because I like rum. I like the variation, and I would really want to not restrict my clients. But that's me, I'm a rummy. So let's look at the question in hand and go, if it was a British distilled rum back bar, then there are a few that I would pick out. Now the Bimber is absolutely great value for money at £22. I do enjoy the flavour, and I think if someone was looking for a rum mixer, that would be a go-to. Trying the Ninefold and the Sugar House was something that surprised me, genuinely surprised me, and I'd have it as a sipper, although most people would question sipping white rum. You know, the flavour is there. I would also look though to have some very nice cocktails that complement them, so you can have some premium cocktails there. The Matuga is different, it's controversial, but I love the story behind it. Molasses from Africa, from Uganda, distilled in Scotland, that's something you can talk about. Green Sands Ridge and J. Gow, again, these are ones that people, if they were looking for a sipping rum, you'd probably point them towards. The J. Gow is one that a lot of people like whisky, and if they were looking for an alternative, this would be a good recommendation. The Green Sand Ridge, the Wilden rum, you know, I think we'd just have to give it a go and see if people like it or not, but it would be on my bar. Then last but not least, you've got to stock anything that's local. And if this bar was in Bristol, it's got to have the circumstantial cane. It's a great talking point. Create some cocktails around it, create some buzz around it, and source locally. So that would be my back bar. What I would like to highlight though is really when you start looking into these, I'm not a researcher. I've spent a fair amount of time looking, and I'm sure there's plenty more. But if you wanted to look a bit further, then do look at the Fat Rum Pirates website. There's more reviews than Ninefold and J. Gow, but I found that a really useful place for information. I wish I'd found the Floating Rum Shack page sooner, because he's got a wealth of information on there. So please do look there. And finally, you know, the UK Rum Club, the Facebook community, really put some questions to myself on why would you do this? What's of interest? And it surfaced loads of detail. You know, if you are interested in your rum in the UK, then it may be something that you want to go and have a look at. But again, it's not a club for spiced or flavoured rums. These are really guys that are looking for true, honest, unadulterated rum. So feel free to have a look and see if that's for you. So there we go. There's my rum stories. The first one was the island of rum, which was the UK, and I looked at the distilleries. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please feel free to subscribe, and I look forward to another vlog in hopefully a week or two's time.